Hello YouTube, it's Troy again and welcome back to my channel. So I'm going to continue with a series of videos. So these are mainly designed for parents, but it's also if you're a high school student, then this is also good for you, or perhaps both. So this is really primarily for parents who might be struggling to help their children with mathematics. So especially when it comes to homework. So the trend that I've really been seeing over the years is a lot of parents are really confused by the changes in some of the methods in which people are being taught mathematics. So today is a prime example with the flowchart method for solving equations. So if you like what you see, so don't forget to hit the subscribe button and make sure you leave a like and leave a comment below. So I also welcome comments with questions. So if you would like me to look at a particular topic that you're struggling with your student, then by all means, please leave a comment below. So today is about the flowchart method for solving equations. So it looks a little bit different from the way you would have learned it, and I'm going to be going through all methods. Now, this is also important to note is that I'm not really here to criticize all of these methods, okay, the ones that might be not familiar to parents or whatever, because it really is what it is. So some schools will teach this type of method, and it's not really my place to really critique that. So that's a whole separate conversation. So really what I'm here to do is just to try to decode it, to give you some examples and get you on the way so that you can be able to help your student at home who might be struggling with this. So you can see on the right-hand side, there's a lot of images of examples of homework that's been taken home. So I've often gotten reactions from parents who've shown me this sort of homework and they felt a little bit confused about, okay, what this is about, what exactly they're supposed to do by filling in these boxes. So today we're really going to go through this. We'll do some examples together. And so by the end of this, you'll be able to understand the flowchart method, and the worksheet on the right, you'll be able to understand exactly what it is. So before we get into this, I just want to look at a bit of background knowledge. So these are things that I'd assume that we'd know. Okay, so firstly, the question is, what is an equation? Okay, so the first thing you can see from an equation is that usually it's going to have an equal sign in there. Okay, so for example, if I have the equation, so x plus 5 equals to 8, that's an example of an equation. So the purpose of an equation is that we have an unknown number, and that mystery number or the unknown number is x, and our aim of solving an equation is to find out what the value of x is. So if we put x by itself, what would that be? So that's a really easy example of an equation, and that's something that you could actually guess the answer to. So if I put x equals to 3, that's the obvious solution to that. And if I change 3 plus 5, we get 8. So the left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side. The other thing I really need you to be aware of is what is an inverse operation, or AKA what is the opposite operation. So we'll have a look at this below. Okay, so firstly, if we look at addition. So the inverse operation for an addition, or the opposite of addition, would be subtraction. And likewise, if we were subtracting, the opposite would be addition. So what about multiplication and division? So the opposite of multiplying is dividing, and the opposite of dividing is multiplying. So that's pretty much your background on what an inverse operation is. And this method of solving equations will employ a lot of this inverse operations. You'll see this quite a lot. And even in the other methods of solving an equation, like the balance method, you'll actually see inverse operations being a key component of solving equations. Now let's work through an example using the box method, or we call it the flowchart method. So what we really do is we start with the value of x, and what we ask ourselves is, what did we do to x? So what operations did we do to x? Okay, so what I do is I put x into a box here. Now, what is the thing that we actually did to x? Well, it says on the left-hand side that x plus 4 equals to 8. So the operation that we did is we plus 4. So what we do here is we draw a little arrow, and on the top of that, we just write down what the operation was. So the operation was we plus 4. And what did we get from that? We have x plus 4. So we're actually halfway through the whole process. So below that, we do our boxes below. So what is the value of x plus 4? Well, it actually says that x plus 4 is equal to 8. So below that, I'm going to draw a box that has the 8. So this is where we do the inverse operation, or the opposites, as I call them. So we actually go in the opposite direction because we want to go back to find out what x is. Okay, so if we go in the opposite direction, we're doing the inverse, or the opposite. And so the opposite of plus 4 is a minus 4. And we just have to follow the sequence of operations. So 8 take away 4 is equal to 4. So now we're back to this stage here. So we're back to x. And so the solution of that equation is x equals to 4. So that was a really, really easy example of an equation using that method. So what we're going to do is extend that to some multi-step equations. So the next one will be a two-step equation. So it says 2x minus 7 is equal to 13. So the whole idea of doing a flowchart is to break down all of the operations that are going on. So we start with the x and we ask ourselves, what did we do to the x? So I'm actually going to rewrite this equation to make it a little bit easier to use a flowchart. So if we started with an x, okay, what do we do? We have 2x. So if there is nothing between the coefficient and the variable, that just means we have to do a times or a multiply. So it was x multiplied by 2. So we multiplied by 2, we took away 7, and we got the result of 13. Okay, so let's make a flowchart of that to show what we did to the x, and let's backtrack to find out how we obtain the value of x. So the first step is we start with x and we put it into a box. Okay, so what did we do? The first thing we did, so we follow up here, we multiplied by 2. And when you multiply x by 2, that simplifies down to 2x, or x times 2, whichever way you want to put it. Now, what is the next thing we've done? Okay, so we've got x, and we've times 2 to get 2x. And so the next thing we've done is we've taken away 7. So let's draw another arrow, and we're going to say minus 7. And so 2x minus 7 is what we got. Okay, so this is the first half of our diagram. So now what we do is we have to equate 2x minus 7 into an actual number. So the actual number is going to be 13. So I'm going to put 13 here. And now we have to do the backtracking. So I might use a different color to do that. So now we're going to be going this way. This has been a while since I've done that, so my pen, don't have as much control over my pen as I normally do. Okay, so let's start with the first bit here. So our first arrow is the opposite of minus 7. So if we're backtracking, we're going the opposite direction. So we're going to do the opposite or the inverse. So the opposite of a minus 7 is going to be a plus 7. Now the other operation was times 2. So the opposite of timesing 2 was dividing by 2. So let's follow the flowchart. So it says start at 13, then we plus 7. So that should hopefully give us a 20. Now then we go 20 and then we divide that number by 2 and we got 10. So the solution we got there, so therefore x is equal to 10. Now let's check our solution to that. So the original equation is 2x minus 7 is equal to 13. So if I go 2 times x, so the x assumes a value of 10, and we take away 7, do we get 13 from that? So 2 times 10 is equal to 20, and we minus 7 equals to 13. So does that make sense? And that's a good checking mechanism to use. Now this one, so you'll feel a sense of accomplishment, and so will students feel a sense of accomplishment when they see these equations that look really scary on the outside. But then once you just follow the same process and follow the process, you can do any equation that you like, as long as the x's are on one side and you've got numbers on the other. Okay, so let's have a look. So I'll change colors back to black again. Okay, so what operations did we do on x? Okay, so first of all, we times by 3. Okay, then we did a minus 1. Then we divided that number by 4, and then we went plus 5. Okay, so let's construct a flowchart to show what happened to x, and we're going along the right-hand side. So we start with an x in our box here. Okay, so we'll do that here. That starts with an x. Okay, so what's the first thing we did? We multiplied it by 3. So let's show an arrow saying that we multiplied by 3, and the result of that is we got 3x. All right, so what did we do after multiplying by 3? We took away 1. So our next arrow is taking away 1, and the result is we got 3x minus 1. So now we have the whole top taken care of. So what do we do to the number on the top? We divide it by 4. So our next arrow in the flowchart is dividing by 4. And so that gave us 3x minus 1 divided by 4. So now we have this whole thing taken care of. And so what did we do to this component? Then we added 5 onto it. So we have to say plus 5, and we'll get our answer across here. So 3x minus 1 over 4 plus 5. Here we go. So that's a very long process, but it's an easy process to follow once you get used to it. So what does that equate to? So once we've done all of this, the result was equal to 7. So we're going to put a 7 on this side here. And so what we're going to do is fill in the backtrack. Until we get back to our answer. Okay, so let's have a look at each of the operations. Okay, so we started off with a plus 5. So the opposite of plus 5 is a minus 5, or that's the inverse operation. Then we have dividing by 4. The opposite of dividing 4 is multiplying by 4. Now, then we have a minus 1. The opposite of minus 1 is a plus 1. And then we have times 3. The opposite of times 3 is to divide by 3. So the instructions are given to us really, really clearly. So when we're going backwards, we're starting with 7. We're going to take away 5. We're going to multiply by 4. We're going to plus 1. And then we're going to divide by 3. So let's give that a go. So we're going to go 7 take away 5. And that gives us the answer of 2. Then we go 2 multiplied by 4 is going to give us 8. 8 plus 1 is equal to 9. And then 9 divided by 3 is equal to 3. Okay, so parents at home and students at home, that pretty much summarizes how the flowchart works. So when you receive those worksheets that come home for homework, and you may be confused about what you're supposed to do, so this video has really explained to you how to fill in the boxes and about what we're doing. So hopefully I've given you an understanding of how this works. So this is not the only way that it's taught in school. So gradually there's going to be other methods. So the balance method is really the method that you probably would have learnt when you were in school. And that's pretty much the old fashioned way of doing it, but that's the method that I still prefer. So I don't particularly use this method. It's not something that I'm a fan of. So I prefer using other methods. And so if you like, I can do another video where I do the opposite. I'll do the balance method in another video, and we'll do some visuals to go along with that. So as I said before, if you enjoy what you see, please press a like button, leave me a comment. So that drives the traffic to my channel. And also make sure you press the subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. So please leave your questions in the comments below. Is there a topic you'd like me to look at or to explain to you? And is there something you're struggling to be doing at home with your kids? So that's all from me. So I'll see you again when I do my next video.